Hello everyone and welcome to this video. In this video we are going to be looking at Neptunia Sisters vs Sisters for the PC. The game was developed by Idea Factory and Compile Heart, and it's also published by Idea Factory International as well. Sisters vs Sisters is a sequel set after the events of Neptunia 7, aka Victory 2, but here's where things get a little bit complicated. Even though the game is a sequel set after the events of the mainline game, this game is being pushed as a sort of side story rather than a full blown out sequel, which is a bit odd. So I guess rather than a full blown out sequel, this is just a mini one. Here's more details about the game in the review. Our game's story begins with Neptune and crew heading off to the PC continent, and whilst the girls are away, Histoire gives Nepgear and the others a task to check out a new area which needs investigating. The girls find a lab, awaken a mysterious goddess, and then get cryogenically frozen for 2 years before they're rescued. Now awake 2 years later, they find Gameindustri is under constant attack by monsters, Neptune is missing, Bert and the others can't transform anymore, and a new strange device known as the rPhone has turned people into a zombie-like state. Nepgear, now taken on the role of Planet Tune's goddess, has to solve the mystery of what's happened and also save Gameindustri. Neptune, Nepgear, Noir and all the usual crew have returned for this sequel. We have some new faces, some old faces, various guest characters and some surprise returns. I am a bit disappointed though that some of my favourites from previous adventures don't show up in this one, as I really would like to have seen them again. However, I can accept things for how they are, and the cast within this game, be it old or new, do a great job of absorbing you into the game's story. Gameplay for Sisters vs Sisters is quite repetitive. Instead of the traditional turn-based style gameplay that most gamers will be used to from the previous games, this one has gone for a more action unleashed feel to it, with it being real-time combat. This is okay, but I found it very quickly became extremely repetitive, and it did take quite a bit into the story until it opened up more and allowed you to do more things in combat. That aside, everything else is as you'd expect it to be. The visual novel parts, the exploring, the disc management, and a great dubbing job by Melissa Thorne and other cast members. The graphics engine being used for this game is Unity. So, if we're being honest here, Unity has its good and bad points. The graphics do look really good, and the game's characters, the environments, the background, and all the assets used in the game do look impressive. On the other hand though, because it's Unity, I did have a fair few issues. Firstly, my controller had problems working and the analog sticks just kept flipping out on me. Secondly, it was pushing my graphics card really hard, a lot more than what it should have done, and thirdly, not only was this pushing my PC hard, but it also pushed my Steam Deck hard as well. Disappointing is perhaps the best word I can use. I was excited at first because the first areas that you do adventure in do look quite nice. But then you start to notice a lot of areas appear to look almost identical from the previous area that you were just in. Even later on when cities like Planet Tune open up, they're meant to be busy, lively cities, but instead hardly anyone is around and they feel rather empty as a result. So in short, some locations good, others bland, but sadly nothing that really stood out or ever blew me away. If you're looking at Neptunia Sisters vs Sisters and are contemplating on buying it, well, this one will be a hard one if you are a Neptunia fan. I do like the story, and I am happy that it is a continuation from the main story, even if it is just a type of side story. However, everything else felt like a letdown to me. The combat doesn't feel enjoyable to me, the locations feel empty or just reuse a lot of assets, and I just can't help but feel like this isn't a fully finished game, and that there should and could have been more to it. I was expecting more from this one, and in the end we're left with a good story, but not really much else. It is what it is. Well, that's it for this review, guys. Thank you for listening, thank you for watching, and please subscribe.